Welcome to another episode of the Hospitality Reputation Marketing Podcast, Get Great Reviews. I'm your host, Adele Gutman, and I am so passionate about helping hospitality professionals and really business owners and leaders of any kind use hospitality and embrace feedback in order to learn how to improve and make micro innovations on their guest experience, patient experience, customer experience, etc., in order to really create loyalty, create alignment, empower our teams, and do better business. After all, we spend so much money on marketing, advertising. We spend a lot of energy, maybe making sales calls, and pretty much anybody who is going to buy a product or a service is going to want to look at the reviews first. You know, in the hospitality business, according to Trust You, they say that 95% of travelers use reviews to make a decision on their hotel stay. And more than 70% of people, I think it was 76%, say that they are willing to pay more for a hotel that has better reviews when you're making a comparison between two hotels. And people are almost four times as likely to book the hotel that has higher reviews than another one that is perhaps similar location, similar price, would also has the right amenities for them, but they would almost four times as much choose the hotel that has higher reviews. And why wouldn't you? People ask me, what is the key to great reputation management success? I prefer the term reputation marketing, reputation cultivation, because it's not managing the unpleasant reviews that's going to change your life and the revenue and the success of your business. What changes the success of your business is listening to feedback, thinking about what was the root cause, investigating what actually happened in context that caused that complaint to happen. And then thinking about, well, what might we do differently? Collaborating with your team, saying, you know, our goal is to make every customer happy, every guest happy, every member happy. So what might we do differently in order to avoid having a similar comment again tomorrow? Well, I think that most problems are not solved the way hoteliers often think. People think you have to spend a lot of money to get better reviews, that only the fanciest, most opulent hotels can have 5 bubble reviews on TripAdvisor, but it's not true at all. No matter where your traveler is coming from, whether they're a leisure traveler, a business traveler, whether they're a family or a couple, it doesn't matter. They all want to be treated like a VIP. They all want to be heard. And if something went wrong and they tell you about it, they don't want some silly template response to their complaint. They want to know that you listened and you thought about it and you initiated change. And it's the change that makes your reputation cultivation. You're becoming every day, you're getting a little closer to becoming the hotel that inspires 5-star reviews every day. So I'm very interested in communication. And sometimes I get frustrated when people talk about technology tools in the hospitality industry. What is it that you are willing to make an investment in yet? And they talk about, CRM and CRS, and they talk about property management systems. They talk about revenue management systems. But when do they talk about communication systems? Having a communication system with your team and is as important, and maybe more. No, it's as important as the communication that you have to the outside world. And that's why I am so excited to have as our guest today, Jordan Ekers, who is the co-founder and COO of Nudge. And I'm going to bring him in. Hello. So nice to see you here. Welcome. Welcome to the stage. And thank you for joining us at the Hospitality Reputation Marketing Podcast.
Lovely to be here with you today, and hope you've had a lovely day so far. And
Absolutely.
Very
Absolutely.
good introduction.
Well, I know that you're in Canada, which is one of my favorite places in the world, especially Toronto. I spent a lot of time working there. What's such a wonderful hospitality community there. I mean, people are really killing it, especially in the food and beverage department. Everyone seems to be full out creative and trying to imagine something that never existed before, fusing different things together and always trying to outdo the competition and really make people, their customers, light up. I love that. That's fantastic. That's fantastic for hospitality reputation management.
Absolutely. Very fortunate to have the chance to live in Toronto and enjoy all the fruits of a lot of people's labor in terms of the food service environment, especially right now as we're finally starting to reopen. Like indoor dining has just come back in Toronto and Ontario. We're starting to get back into hotels. And as we were chatting before, it's been a little while since March of 2020. And so hospitality is an important part of every single one of our lives, whether we're going to a restaurant or a hotel. And it's a pleasure to be able to start to live the life that we're all used to.
Absolutely. And hopefully that those borders will open up a bit more in just the coming weeks. So that will be really exciting. So we all know that Canadians are the most polite people in the world. But sometimes, you know, despite all that, it's not just polite and professional that inspires 5-star reviews. We really need a way for the leadership. You know, we hired these teams, right? So it's not their fault if we don't get great reviews. We have to inspire them. We have to energize them. We have to remind them about best practices. We have to let them know how much we thank them and appreciate them for all their creative insights. And we need to really use and collaborate with our teams, because I think that housekeepers, there's nobody that knows more about how to elevate our housekeeping service than our housekeepers. And yet sometimes it can be challenging sometimes for the executive team to talk to the line staff, but it's even harder for the line staff to make their voices heard with the executive team that may be making decisions and changing procedures. So tell me how Nudge helps solve those two issues.
Yeah, absolutely. And first and foremost, really appreciate being here with you today. So if I peel back the layers, the vision behind Nudge was, it's our belief that the most important part of any brand's delivery is the interaction that takes place between the associates that work for a hospitality brand and the guests that have chosen to come to that hotel or to come to that restaurant. And I worked in hospitality once upon a time, 15 or so years ago, on the front line, trying to deliver great experiences every day. And one of the challenges that I experienced was we never necessarily had all the information that we needed to know in order to deliver that great guest experience, whether it was a new part of the loyalty program we were rolling out, or how to properly talk about a new menu item when a guest walks into a restaurant. And so kind of had this idea that we need to change the way that brands communicate with their front line, but also capture feedback. And so we've built what is currently the industry's most popular digital communications platform that essentially allows a brand like Choice Hotels or Margaritaville the ability to communicate directly with the front line through a mobile app to provide you the right information that you need to be able to deliver a great customer experience or guest experience. And then there's an employee feedback loop. And so every brand, as you know from your experience, there's great managers, there's teams that consistently deliver the best experience, which drive the 5-star reviews. And a lot of operators are often trying to understand, what are they doing? How are they delivering that great guest experience? And so we have this digital platform that allows a brand to go out to the field to say, how have you consistently delivered the best greeting, score across all of our hotels? Or how are you delivering 5-star ratings for every guest that comes through your restaurant? So through Nudge, you can actually get feedback directly from the front line through a mobile app so that operators can then understand the behaviors of their top performers. And so, as you know from being in the industry, a lot of that used to just happen from that pre-service meeting in terms of passing information down from a manager to the team member. And if you're at headquarters, you're kind of hoping to get feedback, but it very rarely comes back up that chain. And so we're just trying to change the way that brands support their people so that brands can deliver a better guest experience.
That is so fantastic. And you know what? I can tell you that a lot of times, even when there's some information that's coming up, sometimes it isn't acted on. And so really the tool is one thing, but you have to really inspire your team to want to use the tool. And sharing the vision, sharing the goals, sharing the excitement, sharing the enthusiasm, and the appreciation for every little milestone along the way as you climb up in your guest service scores, it makes such a difference. So I love something that will allow perhaps a concierge to share, hey, we had a little boy in for his 10th birthday and we surprised him in, kind of in collaboration with the dad that we knew he liked this and that. So we did something special, take pictures of it, post it. It makes great social media content too, if they're able to share it in a way that it can inspire the marketing team to share it with the public. It's wonderful. And it's also so nice if a housekeeper is so excited that she prepared something special for a honeymoon couple and she takes a picture of it, and or somebody takes a picture of her setting up the bed in such a way that's going to make a big wow moment for the guests. It's nice for them to share with each other beautiful little touches that have those wow moments that make it impossible for that guest to ever forget you. Can you use Nudge in that way?
Yes, absolutely. So you can capture a photo, you can capture a moment of a guest that's going to turn into a memory that lasts a lifetime. So you can capture that feedback. You can take a photo of that specific interaction. You can share it with all of your peers. And it's fascinating because, and this is probably an interesting stat for you, only about 1% of venture capital over the last 10 years has gone towards building solutions for frontline hospitality workers. And so they've just been totally underserviced with the platforms that are provided to them. And it was our belief that communication in terms of how brands support their people and get feedback is such a critical part of how you support your team. And the last comment I just make on this thread is our philosophy at Nudge has always been, it's not just about communication. You need to first start by capturing the hearts and minds of your frontline. You need to find ways to culturally inspire them to be brand advocates, to want to bring that exceptional brand experience to life. And so a lot of the programs that we run, whether it's brands like Margaritaville or Choice, a lot of the information that's passed out to the team is designed to culturally inspire, capture their hearts and minds. And then to your point, it's information around strategically aligning them. So we've now increased our peer reviews in the market by a star. Now let's congratulate the team on that. And so I couldn't agree with you more. We need to treat people like people. We need to recognize that your frontline are your brand ambassadors. And if we can find ways to inspire them to bring your brand experience to life, they are always going to go above and beyond for your guests.
I love it, Jordan. That's fantastic. You know what? One problem is, as you said, sometimes you don't have all the information at your fingertips. Sometimes we pass around a PDF or a Word document. It gets saved in a computer somewhere. Everybody saves theirs in a different place. When we update it, now we've updated it again. Now there are 16 different versions of that PDF or Word document. Nobody knows which is the correct one. You're using an old one. What are you kidding? And I wonder, does Nudge have a way of organizing? I hate the term standard operating procedures because actually they should all be above and beyond extraordinary procedures. But is there a way of organizing that? Is there a way that people can find things on their phone that they know are current?
So absolutely. So if I'm a frontline working at the front desk, or if I'm a house cleaner, I have the ability to go into Nudge. If I want to search what is the most recent update around COVID safety protocols for cleaning a room, I can just type that into Nudge, and then the most recent information around that standard operating practice is delivered right to my phone. And so we try to remove redundancy. We try to simplify the way in which people get the information that they need. And it's all at their fingertips. So they just use their own smartphone. They can access all the information they need. And really, to build on that thread, we're taking all of the things that would normally happen in a very, non-modern workflow, and are just bringing it to life through a mobile app that's just really easy. It's accessible. And so we try to simplify the way people get information they need so that they can bring to life either a great guest experience or execute on a new standard operating practice.
That's fantastic. A lot of times things will come up, a problem, or you know what, let's just call it a critical review will come up. And you want to share that critical review to say, does anybody have any insights on what might have happened here behind the scenes? No blame, no finger pointing. We're just wanting to collaborate with you to see if anybody has any ideas. How might we do things better? Is there a way that we can use that tool to communicate with the team those questions so that they can look at it, maybe even target people in a particular department or whatever that might have had an opportunity and get that feedback from them so that we can know how to move forward on that review response?
Yeah, absolutely. So whether I'm in headquarters or I'm a GM of a hotel, if I see a negative or constructive guest feedback come through, and it highlights a particular part of that guest journey that did not meet their satisfaction, through Nudge, I can very quickly say, hey team, here's some feedback we just received from a guest. Do you have ideas around how we could have improved that experience? And so it provides both that GM at a location level, the ability to get feedback directly from their team relative to customer feedback or guest feedback that's unique to that location. Or if I'm a brand that has 2,000 locations and I'm trying to get feedback around the best way to greet a guest when they check in, I can capture feedback from everyone across the organization. So we try to provide a lot of flexibility because it's our belief that the front line and your associates are the ones that are interacting with guests every day. They have brilliant ideas. The challenge is most of them sit dormant because we haven't given them that vehicle to share their voice. And the other interesting angle on that is in the labor market that we're all living through right now, where attracting and retaining talent has never been more difficult. Employee feedback is one of the biggest drivers of an individual's likelihood to join a brand. So I think every organization out there right now is trying to understand how they build a brand employer of choice. Capturing feedback is a big draw for people to want to come to work for your brand. And so that's something that we prioritize based on what kind of frontline workers need, as well as the general labor market that we're all navigating.
That's wonderful. It's true. Nobody wants to be treated like a pair of hands. They want to feel that their opinion is valued, that they are creatively expressed and part of a creative problem-solving team who has a purpose and mission-driven culture where everyone is invited to participate equally. And people want to feel heard. And while they do want to be appreciated in a way that they can feel it in their pockets, they also want to feel like they're learning and how can we teach our team to become future leaders if we don't involve them in the problem-solving conversation? When we involve them in the problem-solving conversation and they see how we make our decisions actually based on values, not pretending that these are our values, but actually living in those values, then they know how to make good decisions on their own. And 9 times out of 10, or 99 times out of 100, they will make good decisions. And if they make and they make a misstep, well, we learned something from it, and now we can move on. Everybody wants to be part of a winning team and creatively express. Those are just basic human needs, right?
Yeah.
And so it's wonderful to have a tool that helps you do that. One problem is that people very often only learn their little silo. And how are you going to promote people if they don't learn the rest of the way the full operation works together? I remember one time I went into a hotel in London and my room wasn't ready, and we went into the bar. There was a guy chopping lemons, and we said, "Where is the terrace, the beautiful terrace that we saw on the website that the bar has?" And he says, I have no idea, and goes back to chopping lemons. I was like, I was only told to come here and chop lemons. I don't know anything about this place that works. And how can we give great customer service if our team on the ground who are close to the guests don't know about everything that they can about the health club or the spa or the restaurant or where the terrace is? I mean, it was literally out the door and around the corner from where he was cutting the lemons, but nobody even gave him a tour. So first we have to get our own heads right and say, break those silos. And then by having a tool that's in everybody's hands, even if you're a busboy or a chef or a houseman or a dishwasher, it doesn't matter. Learn a little bit about the rest of the operation so that you can get ahead and have a future and understand how things are done. Don't you find that to be true? Is that something that you can have people looking at who want to grow their careers within an operation, and they can see what the other departments are learning and how to be the best practices along the way?
Yeah, absolutely. Like that experience you described there is a very transactional experience. It was a brand that tactically asked for someone to come in and do one part of the entire operation. And I think coming back to our earlier comment, that's a miss. Like everyone needs to be aligned that they're part of a bigger picture that's delivering a great guest experience from the beginning someone checks in to the beginning they leave. And each part of that guest interaction, it's extremely important that I think people are inspired that they're part of a bigger vision versus just this one piece of that experience. And so a lot of what we've seen is by connecting people, they start to gain empathy towards each other and the various roles that they all have to play in delivering that great guest experience. And so if I come back to that, you go to the bar and an individual is just doing a very tactical initiative. If they could also be seeing what others in the hotel are doing and the type of training or content they're getting, they might have some curiosity to learn about a different discipline, which will probably draw further growth. And a lot of the best-in-class brands that we work with really try to storytell professional development. So if I was working behind the bar and then I became the manager behind the desk, if brands can tell the story of my growth of that associate part of that brand, that's really where you start to inspire, because it's not just here's the job responsibilities and the job duties that you need to learn. If I can see a living, breathing example of someone who was like me that has grown and what they did to grow into that next role, that's much more inspiring than simply putting a job description to say, here are the qualifications you need to work on. So again, a lot of that comes down to the positioning of information. That's just situationally trying to inspire someone by storytelling the growth of another. And so we see a lot of best-in-class brands really leaning into the storytelling side of professional development and then how they connect teams to better understand how they could grow.
I couldn't agree more. That is so important. You know, when we at the Library Hotel Collection, where I was for 20 years, the vice president of sales, marketing, and revenue, we had the highest guest satisfaction of any luxury hotel brand in the world, according to Review Pro. When we first called a meeting, when I first called all the GMs and the reservations managers and front office managers and directors of sales and marketing together in a room and said, you know, I think we can beat everyone on guest experience because we have the nicest people. Please go back to each of your hotels and to each of your departments and ask everyone to share. What are those little magic moments that they do that when they say this on arrival, it lights people up? When they say this at breakfast, it lights people up. When they say this in the bar, on the rooftop, it's a surefire way of bringing a smile to someone's face. And I had them manually just write everything down, scan it, send it to me in an email, and compile it. How I would have loved to have had something that could really tell all of those things. And then I compiled a thing of best practices and then sent it back to everyone to tell a story with every best practice about, remember how when you went on vacation and you were saving up for it and you were longing for the day you would go and then you traveled far and wide to get there. And then somebody looked up at you at the front desk and said, checking in. Versus the time when somebody opened the door for you and say, welcome, your vacation has just begun. Let's be excited for everybody. That's the kind of storytelling that really captures people's imaginations and stays with them, because they don't know what you mean by great service until you paint a picture for them of what great service looks like. And it doesn't have to be me. It could be them telling each other stories about great leadership and great hospitality. But what if I, as the vice president of sales and marketing, say, I wish I could touch every single one of the employees throughout the entire organization. I wish I could say in my own words. And then, you know, and the general manager will say it too, and the director of sales and marketing, and the front office manager, and the housekeeping manager. All of those people will also say it in their own way. But I want to give a little bit, and I want them to hear me. Can I just record something every day, a little snippet of passion for hospitality to kind of get people energized in the beginning of each day?
Yeah, absolutely. So you could record a video, we could publish that video, and I could have that video in the hands of every associate across 10 locations, 1,000 locations in a moment's notice. And I think a comment you made there that really touched on kind of the way that we think is, yes, we've built the software that enables it, but the comment you just made there is, how do we bring authenticity to the information we want to share? And so it's not just, hey, we have the 6th update on that PDF around the standard operating practices that is sitting on a computer somewhere. It's how can you authentically connect the leaders and the information in the business to the people that need it? And so I think that also when you think about driving and attracting talent, people leave managers. They don't leave great managers. And so we've built the platform that could facilitate the delivery of a video from you out to 10,000 people in 2 minutes worth of effort. But it's more, to me, it's the authenticity of that message and connecting people leaders in the business with their front line in a way that does inspire them. It's not just a piece of information. It's delivered in a way that carries meaning. And so I think that's a really important point that you touched on there.
Fantastic, fantastic. Can I ask how expensive this is going to be?
Sure. So software as a service. So hotels pay essentially a monthly fee per location, and that fee ranges based on how many locations. So we have brands that have 50 locations, and we have brands that are in the thousands of locations. So it can range anywhere from $30 a location a month upwards to 100. And the way that we deploy Nudge is we always launch it. It's a free trial. You can hold a control group back that's not using Nudge. And then after 2 months, you can evaluate, are the properties that are using Nudge seeing a lift in F&B sales? Are they seeing a higher degree of loyalty with the guests that are visiting? So we always try to be very specific with the business outcome that a brand is trying to drive. And then we always hold back a group that's not using Nudge, so you can actually measure, are people and teams that are using Nudge selling more, delivering a better guest experience, and are you ultimately retaining your top team members longer?
That's fantastic. And how about, what about an independent hotel? Can independent hotels do this too?
Yeah, they absolutely can. So we operate both at an enterprise as well as an independent level. So our vision here at the end of the day is for every worker in the world to be able to have the tools that they need to deliver a great guest experience. And the fascinating thing outside of hospitality is like 80% of the global workforce doesn't sit behind a desk. And a vast majority of individuals and solutions that have been built for people that sit behind desks. And so our vision here is to ensure that every person, whether you're in hospitality or retail or food service, they all have the tools that they need to be able to deliver great guest experiences and ultimately feel satisfied and rewarded in their work. So that's really what we're working towards.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for putting together such a great tool. I think that this could really be part of a revolution that's coming up, especially with all of the distress regarding the labor shortage and guest expectations, employee expectations. This is a great time for us to say, it's an opportunity to change, to make things better. What a fantastic tool. We can no longer say that we can't enterprise our communications in a way that still touches the hearts of every individual employee and every individual guest. We just have too many wonderful tools to be able to liberate us from the way things were done in the past to the way things will be done in the future. I wish you so much good luck. And I hope people will really take advantage of it because it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me today. It's been a pleasure to share a conversation, and it's always great to learn from an expert in the industry. So I appreciate the time.
Thank you so much for taking the time, Jordan, and perhaps we'll chat again in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Wasn't that wonderful? I really appreciate you all taking the time to watch the Hospitality Reputation Marketing Podcast, get great reviews. This is my first time interviewing someone with a tool and so I would love to know if you're interested in learning about more tools that can help with hospitality reputation marketing or anything else in sales and marketing for hospitality. Thank you so much. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends, and leave a review if you can. Greatly appreciated. I am rooting for you all to get great reviews. See you soon.
Taking a chance.